City of Stevens Point Plan Commission meeting, recorded August 2nd, 2021.
Okay, I have 6 o'clock. I will call the regular City Plan Commission meeting to order. Can we get someone to call the roll?
Weeza.
Here.
Kneebone's excused. Artson.
Here.
Cooper.
Here.
Haynes is excused. Hoppy's excused. And Rice.
Here.
Okay, we do have a quorum, so we will continue on. Item number 2 is the report of the July 6th meeting of the City Plan Commission. Cooper.
Move approval.
Thank you. Seconded by Arnson. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved. And number 2 is a public hearing and action on a request from the City of Stevens Point to amend the project plan for tax incremental district number 5 to share surplus increments with tax incremental districts number 10, 11, 12, and 13 under the provisions set forth in Wisconsin Statute 66.1105 sub 6 sub F sub 2. And at this point, I will turn it over to Dawn to give us an update.
Yep, Don will do the presentation.
Yep, I don't know that I can do this here. I'm trying to pin Dawn to see, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna have to stop sharing. And now we can see Dawn. There you go, Dawn, you are on.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So I just kind of to give everyone up-to-date status, the city held their organizational meeting this morning of the Joint Review Board, and the Joint Review Board is consistent of the mayor from the city, John Slice, who's a citizen member. He was reaffirmed this morning. And the other overlapping taxing districts, which include the county, the school district, and the technical college. That's required by law that they convene prior to the public hearing by the Plan Commission. So the action, they took no action this morning. They will convene following consideration by this body and the city council if they both affirm moving forward with this amendment. So tax increment district number 5, it was a blight district, about 92 acres, created back in May of 2005, referred to as the North Side Business District. It's actually been quite successful in recent years, and back in 2015, the city amended the district to allow for sharing of surplus increment at that time to tax increment district number 6. So this amendment is considering that similar action to allow it to share with districts 10, 11, 12, and 13. Those are new districts created by the city. And as the treasurer explained to the committee this morning, one of the reasons for this is many times those new districts will struggle for a period of time. And if there's smaller projects or assistance needed, the city has historically advanced funds to the district and then waited to recover them. The city does hold a significant bond rating, and the rating agencies are now frowning upon that type of measures. So this would eliminate the need for that. If there's available increment out of TIF District 5, it can share that with the other 4 districts and enhance overall development throughout the whole city and not just stick strictly within that district number 5. The other caveat with that is just because the sharing amendment is approved and allowed doesn't necessarily mean that there will be a need to share increment, but it does provide that capacity for the city should it need to assist with any gap recovery or assistance to facilitate early on projects. The other reason that we're amending it is while there was contemplated at the time of creation improvements to business district or business highway 51, there is a major reconstruction and a rework of that highway that will further enhance economic development opportunities within this district number 5. So we're amending the allowable project cost to be increased to an amount about $10 million or whatever may be necessary to undertake that reconstruction of that highway. So as the plan, the district certainly has the capacity to share increment. The recipient districts all fit the criteria. They fall within the same overlapping taxing districts. The District 5 is doing this amendment prior to the end of its expenditure period. And we've been able to show that it will have enough revenues to cover its own project cost. And as well as the 4 recipient districts meet the criteria. 2 of them are blight districts and 2 of them are rehabilitation districts. Both of those are the only type of districts that can receive sharing donations from a positive cash flow of a successful district. So at this point, we've identified what would be available, including future sharing with District Number 6 for those 4 districts. If it's necessary, the district could continue share through the remaining life of its statutory period, and that would be through 2033, I think, is the ultimate year. If the city were to continue sharing through that period of time. I'll just confirm that. Yes, 2033 would be the last year that there'd be funds that this district could share to those other, in this case, new 4 and then new 4 districts, and then as well as District Number 6. So the project plan was prepared in accordance with the statutory requirements. We've included maps of the existing TID 5 as well as the other 4 districts. We've included cash flows. We've identified the financing for that additional $10 million and then what residual increment would be available to share. So I'm happy to address any specifics within that project plan or any other questions any members of the Planning Commission would have.
Thank you very much. Before we open the public hearing, are there any clarifying questions from the commissioners? Okay, thank you. Then at this point, I will declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to offer testimony on this amendment to the TIF 5 area is urged to step forward and provide that testimony. Public hearing remains open. And for the 3rd and final time, the public hearing remains open. Seeing and hearing no one else wishing to speak, I will declare the public hearing closed and bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioners, we would be looking for a recommendation.
I'd move to approve the
Amendment?
the amendment as recommended by staff.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Seconded by Cooper. Discussion.
Yeah, I guess,
Commissioner Rice, and then we'll go to Commissioner Arnson.
sure, just to clarify, yeah, I guess the biggest concern would be future projects in District 5, and obviously, our ability to continue with projects and provide incentives for that district. So, yeah, just to clarify and confirm that, again, based on the expectation that there will be significant projects and likely incentives for projects going in the future, that something like this isn't going to cause concern.
Sure, and I'll ask the comptroller treasurer to step to the lectern. Perhaps we can get your question answered, Mr. Arnson, as well. You want to go ahead and ask that or make your comment? And then we'll have Cory come up.
Similar to Matt's, it would be the excess money essentially made by District 5
Yes.
that would go over. So it's not going to take away from the money being spent in the district.
Absolutely not. But we'll let the comptroller treasurer speak to that.
Yes, so, this doesn't necessarily tie us to anything as far as transferring between districts. It really just gives us that option. So going forward, we'll have to look at the monies that are available in TIF District 5, and then also look at the other needs and really weigh those, and then make some of those decisions as far as how we allocate resources. But in terms of the financial standing of TIF District 5, Ellers did put together a pretty good analysis that does indicate that there should be excess increment in that district. So there should be funds available to both do some of the things that we need to do in TIF District 5 and also to share some increment with these other districts if needed.
Thank you very much.
Is it kind of a subjective call as somebody watching and see what District 5 is doing and saying, well, that's doing plenty enough and we need some over here. Can we move it there? This perhaps provides a vehicle for doing that. Who's making the call on that, I guess?
So typically the staff would propose that in terms of proposing the transfers between districts. And a lot of times we'll actually do that as part of the budget process. So we could have a budget that's approved that transfers increment. Otherwise, if it's not approved through the budget process, then we would take it to council and we would say, okay, we have this need over here, or we need to finance a development incentive in TIF District 11 or TIF District 12. So we're proposing to move this money from TIF 5 to, one of the other TIF districts.
All right, good, thanks.
All right. We have a motion to approve. It's been seconded. Any further questions? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? By unanimous consent, that is approved. Item number 4, and I'm going to thank you, Dawn. I appreciate it. I'm going to
You're welcome, Mayor. Thank you.
switch back here now to sharing so those online can see it. And we have, let's see, TIF information. There we go. Item number 4 is a request from Mark Johnson for a site plan review to construct a drive-in restaurant at an unaddressed parcel off of a frontage road with parcel identified in your packet, consistent with Chapter 23.02, Sub 2, Sub F, Sub 5, Sub B. Adam?
Thank you, Mayor. Now, this request is to construct a coffee house establishment, as the mayor just mentioned, on a mostly undeveloped parcel located on the city's north side, located near Perkins and the Comfort Inn and Suites. Now, this property is zoned B for commercial. However, there are additional development restrictions, development regulations that are in place for this request given its location within TIF District number 5, mainly additional setback requirements. Now, while this proposal does meet the minimum and maximum setback requirements for the BTID 5 district, any development within this TIF district does require a site plan review, thus the reason for this agenda item tonight. So you can see on your screen first on the upper right-hand corner is just an existing aerial view of the property. Like I said, it's for the most part undeveloped except for an existing approach located on the northwest corner. On the left-hand portion of your screen shows the proposed site plan. You can see the building roughly 18 feet away from the frontage road right-of-way. Off-street parking located directly behind it, along with the drive-through lane looping around the perimeter of the parcel. In addition, bicycle accommodations are provided as well. And then the lower right-hand corner of your screen shows a proposed mock-up of what the building would look like. This request has been reviewed subject to the 10 standards for the site plan review, and staff does feel that all requirements have been met. So staff would therefore recommend approval subject to the conditions shown in the agenda packet, and the applicant is here in person should there be any questions.
Thank you very much. I would need a motion.
This is a site plan review, not a public hearing or anything.
Correct. Commissioner Cooper.
I would move approval of the request as presented with the staff recommendations.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Seconded by Arnson. Discussion?
How does this fit with the new plans for Highway 51 and that corridor? It seems like, I don't know that this is the good time to be doing this when there are other things going on that may affect what happens.
Sure.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
so
Director.
the adopted Division Street targeted area master plan has three main areas. This is the north segment. I'll call it the university segment. It's pretty much Maria Drive south through to essentially 4th Avenue. And then from 4th Avenue down to Main Street is really where you've got the south segment. And really where the core is. So the north segment really serves as the funnel. In fact, in that plan itself, it does identify, typically more auto-centric uses in that area. We already have buildings that exist that are far off the existing right-of-way. This is a frontage road adjacent to the proposed property as opposed to the Division Street area. So there is additional frontage. And so typically when you get closer to the university, closer to the downtown and the main Clark Street area, that's where you would want more buildings that are closer to the right-of-way line that really start to frame in Division Street as you drive down towards the core of the community. Up on the north end, though, it does not necessarily call for that style of development. It calls for more traditional suburban style development.
Do we know what the fate of that frontage road is? Is that still up in the air? Is that gonna stay?
It will very likely stay. We're only at about 30% design completion, but we're only dealing with the roadway. The frontage road really isn't part of that.
There's also we've put a fair amount of utilities in the frontage road. Oversized utilities this is done several decades ago for the intention that this area would be developed more commercially. So the likelihood that we would vacate the frontage road and develop anything over that would also cost an extensive amount of money to relocate those existing utilities. The site's about, 0.8 acres. It's a fairly small site. It really presents its own challenges in terms of development and redevelopment. Is it the perfect use? Probably not. But is it a better use than what we could have at that location? Probably.
I guess that was part of a question too. I don't know if you guys have comments on that, but is it our purview to kind of pass judgment as to what should and should not go in an area? Is that part of the planning aspect, or is that a?
It is, but I would argue that tonight is not that opportunity. Our comprehensive plan, our future land use plan, those plans, I don't want people, the Plan Commission isn't here to say, you should put a Weeza burger there. I'm trying to not use anything that exists.
No,
we need a Weeza burger.
Right.
Or a red Weeza.
So,
Or a Weeza garden.
You can't tell them what to do, but we can.
We can say we
kind
would
of say we
like
don't,
commercial
what not to
or
do.
food or office space. We would like to add those uses there. I would caution against being against any particular brand or particular service type industry.
Yeah, so the use is permitted within the zoning code. So we aren't talking about the use of the property. The Plan Commission's purview this evening is really on the site plan and site plan development itself. If there's something you'd want changed, this is the time to make those recommendations. You could definitely, if you wanted something designed a little bit differently, you could kick it back to staff and we could work with the developer. This has been pretty well vetted through the system itself. You've got all 9 or 10 departments have already looked at this. We've already made some pretty drastic changes to the site plan at the recommendation of community development staff. So it's here before you after it's been pretty fully vetted through the proper channels.
It's not so much for us to say we got enough coffee shops there, we don't need
Correct.
another.
Nothing to do with the
Correct.
use. It's all about the
That is
physical
already
site
permitted.
plan.
However, if you wanted to change the zoning code in the future, you could do that. Okay? Mr. Rice, did you have any questions? Looked like you may have earlier.
Yeah, I guess, a question, and again, to Commissioner Arnson's point, maybe not all that relevant, but I guess, again, kind of that corridor, and I understand that, it's a little more car-centric. Obviously, we have a number of businesses that kind of cater to and rely on access to the interstate there. My question or concern, I guess, was related to kind of usable life of some of those adjacent properties. There's several hotels nearby, and does, developing this small lot, hamstring further development or a larger development if the usable life of those existing uses is kind of coming to an end, and again, may not be relevant here.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Definitely the Days Inn is, probably 40 years old, if not older. The Baymont, just north of that, was built in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. So there's still a fair amount of life left in that specific facility. But hotels typically do have, I'll call after hotel life uses, whether it's a apartment complex, things of that. Think about the Point Motel. I mean, it was a pretty old facility that has been used for hotel guests, and then of course for short-term rentals for high-risk individuals. But does it hamper the ability for the other parcels around that area to be developed? Probably not. If this is a proposed site that was on 5 acres or even 2.5 acres, I probably would have advised the folks to look at another site. It is a constrained site. It's never been developed. There was a small single-family home on it several years ago, which is part of the reason why it's under an acre in size. I don't think the development of this specific site limits or prohibits other future redevelopment of that whole area itself. So,
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion do we have a motion?
we do.
We do. We have a motion to approve with staff recommendations. Unless there are any further questions, I will call the vote. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved. Item number 5 is a request from Cassie Birding, representing Northwest Journey, for a sign variance to install a freestanding sign on a property at 2442 Sims Avenue with the parcel identified in your packet. Adam?
Thank you, Mayor.
Up here.
As you can see on your screen, the proposed freestanding sign is approximately 13.23 square feet in size and a little shy under 7 feet in height. Now, this parcel is zoned within the city's R5 multiple family 2 district, which does require that any freestanding signs do not exceed 32 square feet in height and size, which is met with this request. However, the R5 district regulates that only one freestanding sign is permitted along each street frontage on a given parcel. Now, as you can see on the right-hand portion of the screen, this parcel is relatively unique given the amount of primary uses that exist. So not only is Northwest Journey occupying the property, you have the city's police department, city's park recreation and forestry department, Boys and Girls Club, and PJ Jacobs, each of them having their own freestanding sign along Michigan Ave. Now, while this parcel does abut other street frontages, Main Street, Michigan Avenue, staff does feel that having a sign along Michigan Avenue better suits the applicant's desire for the freestanding sign, namely for identifying the location of their establishment within this property. Therefore, staff does recommend approval after vetting this request subject to the 4 standards for a variance and would recommend approval.
Thank you. Yeah, the issue is that there's multiple uses on a very large municipal parcel. I think it's completely appropriate to allow this sign variance. And therefore, I will move approval of the recommendation, still with staff recommendations for the request from Northwest Journey for sign variance. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Seconded by Arnson. Discussion. Mr. Rice?
Yeah, I guess to city staff, at some point, does it make more sense to combine, the signage of all of these uses into a single, larger, more modular sign? Again, it's a little bit of a strip mall feel in a residential neighborhood, so I can understand it.
Yeah, and in this case, I would say no, simply because it's not a strip mall or a shopping complex. One of them happens to be the police department. And I don't know that you want the police department and the Boys and Girls Club and Northwest Journey and whatever else might utilize this facility all on the same sign. I think especially the police department, needs to be a separate sign so people know that this is the location that it's in. And the Boys and Girls Club is a little bit further south, so people already use the driveway outside the police department to get to the Boys and Girls Club, and that really isn't practical or appropriate for either of them.
And
Staff,
everything else?
anything to add?
No, I mean, one thing I would point to is it'd be constraining in a way to have all uses on the same sign, given the maximum area is only 32 square feet. That'd be pretty challenging, at least in my opinion, to have 5 uses on one sign, so.
And otherwise, the sign complies with setbacks and size and everything. It's just
Right.
having the other one. Yep, no, I'm good with that.
Okay. If there's no further questions, I will call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the next item is item number 6, the director's report. Director report.
In your packet is the monthly report. Staying definitely busy. I think that goes without saying, but we have met with 5 different districts. We're meeting with the sixth district regarding the accessory dwelling unit presentation, initial feedback that we're hopeful will bring back to this body likely in September, October at the absolute latest. So we've been getting a lot of really good feedback from the neighborhoods, and what they would like to see in a proposed ordinance. Other than that, I think that's about it. So if you got any other questions, please let me know. Otherwise, place on file.
Director, one thing I didn't see was we do the monthly reports with inspections and property maintenance violations.
Correct.
When might we see that?
We will likely see that next month. Our Rockstar Department Administrative Assistant has been out for the last few weeks as she's moving to a new home in Stevens Point. So even better. When she comes back, she'll be able to put that information together and get it back to this body for consideration.
Perfect. Thank you very much. With that, our agenda is exhausted, and we are adjourned at 6:27. Thank you all.
Videos of these meetings are available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.